Welcome back, Geek Variants, for our recap with spoilers. Haven't seen it go away, but the recap of Doctor Strange and the multiverse of what the. And what the heck was that movie and all of its glory? But also, before we get going, there's a watermark down there. Click it, or we're sending you to an alternate dimension. I'm Brent. This is our founder, Will. You've done our spoiler-free review. Now you can finally say what's on your mind. Let the people know what's going on.
All right. With this movie, I'm happy to have another Marvel movie. Definitely happy to have another movie here. Kind of moving the saga along, whichever this saga is going to be called. So wait for that. I am very excited to talk about this because of the different things that have been set up in this movie. This movie is going places that we kind of touched on lightly at the end of Loki and No Way Home. So now this is the meat and potatoes about it. The first thing I want to bring to attention is the massive redirect as far as what we're facing as a villain. I think it was a great job done with kind of setting up that Doctor Strange is getting stuff. It's going to be Strange versus Strange when that wasn't the case at all. Like this was Strange versus Scarlet Witch. This just straight up, sorcery versus witchcraft. And throughout the entirety of the movie and stuff like that, they didn't even pull any punches. Like right out the gate, it was like, this is going down. This is what's happening. Next thing you know, we already know who the villain is. And now we're in a fight to figure out how to stop this rampage that's coming at us. And all the actors, I think, did a fantastic job playing their roles. Like Elizabeth Olsen was phenomenal. Like she had that look in her face, like she is unhinged, so that she is like, I got something I need to get done, and I'm going to get it done, no matter the cost. And she was determined and focused. Strange, who has been a mentor to Peter, is also continuing that role as a mentor. And Benedict Cumberbatch freaking was able to play it well. If you've seen him in his Sherlock series and stuff, it was fantastic. So being able to keep in tune with that kind of education part of it, like he does that very well. So Benedict, fantastic. All right, Miss Gomez, and I do not want to butcher her first name.
I looked at that too. I'm like,
I apologize. I cannot say it correctly yet. I'm still working on it, but she did fantastic. Entry level, like I felt, she's that teen in there trying to figure out the world and what's going on. I thought it was great. Wong, the other Benedict, he did great. I'm glad we got to get a showcase of his skills and what's going on. He is the Sorcerer Supreme and is actually out there fighting and doing a thing. He ain't no slouch. Like he was out there getting it in. So all the acting stuff was fantastic. And like I said, again, action right out the gate. They did really well to hook you right in. Now, the part that I want to say kind of threw everybody was once we got to the Scarlet Witch. We got to her. Yeah, we saw her with the Darkhold at the end of WandaVision, and we see that she's still utilizing it going forward. So this just opens up a whole world of possibilities as far as how much she's affected throughout the multiverse. And with Doctor Strange being one of the first ones to go into the dark dimension within the MCU, and this kind of open up all the multiverses and the various ones that there's been. We know for a fact that we know as comic fans that there's a lot more, but 838, so there's the 838 that have been noted, named, numbered going forward. There's a lot that can be played with and pulled together. So before I start rambling on about all that, Brent, let me know what you think about that.
as far as the movie goes, the actress' performances were incredible. I mean, I'm not shocked that there was a Hobbit alumni Benedict Cumberbatch. He was the voice of Smaug, doing his thing out there. He was absolutely phenomenal in the role. I do have to bring up the point, though. How did this movie get away with a PG-13 rating? This was the thinnest of hairs. Like, Marvel paid somebody for this. I will straight up go on record. Marvel had to have paid somebody to get this rating in, so to sneak in as many people as they did to see this movie. Because the minute they started just freelancing, they were taking religious names in vain. They were cussing. They were covering a whole bunch of religious stuff. There was jump scare elements. There was horror elements in this. As a parent, like, if you brought your kids to this, you're probably feeling some kind of way about this movie, and you're gonna impact that Rotten Tomato scores. Because don't get me wrong, I like Sam Raimi, but I don't think a lot of the elements that he was playing with in this film worked. I understand that some of this needs to be dark. She is Scarlet Witch. She uses chaos magic. Chaos ain't pretty. No one's going to take any kind of way about that. But for them to go about things as dark, as gory, and the elements of mental suffering that was touched upon in this film, and then slap a PG-13 rating on, like, yeah, it's fine. They'll understand. It's totally okay. No, they don't. I think that's starting to reflect in some of the scores that were put out on this, and I thought overall the plot was very soft. Like, you could have taken this whole movie, got it under an hour. If all America Chavez does is show her the exact thing that she does at the end, you could have skipped all this crap. Like, don't get me wrong, the visual effects, phenomenal. Like, it was breathtaking. Like, some of the stuff they did in this film, absolutely astounding. Like, mind blown. Loved it. Enjoyed the cameos. Enjoyed the ride along. Enjoyed the build-up of the characters. Some of those characters, when they died, just like stone-faced. No reaction. No care in the world. Just kind of like, it happened. Oh, well. Next. But America Chavez literally could have just been like, all right, this is what you want. Boom. All right, now you see what you look like? Quit acting so stupid. That's it. There's the whole movie. Literally, she just was willing to wipe out every single universe that existed so she could be a mom. Are there not eligible bachelors on this earth? Could she not have used magic in some way to change or affect those kids to become what her kids were? No? Is she incapable of being pregnant? Like, what? Like, this was just mind-blowing that this is the amount of stretching that they went to. Strange, I get it. That is the woman that he loves, and he was willing to dabble. Like, what if he dove? This, he was willing to dabble. Just be like, that's not good. Don't like that. Done with this. She was willing to throw her whole entire existence away so she'd be a mom. It's like, I understand it's kind of funny because Multiverse of Madness, the acronym spells out mom.
And here we are
on Mother's Day talking about this, but like, I don't know, man. I don't know. This plot felt about as weak as Civil War's plot felt, but the cameos felt so much more powerful in that movie. I was willing to let a lot of the plot holes slide. So I'm one of Marvel's toughest critics, though. So please tell me where I'm wrong and correct me on that.
So like, I gave the movie initially like roughly a B and stuff like that. I went and watched it again. I took several notes and stuff like that to kind of break it down and make sure that I understood everything that was happening and what I was going through. So a couple of things that go through my head is, one, with Wanda, it's more or less, we know what she wanted out of her children. She knows how she created them. And of course, we get into the realm, if, she goes to make other kids like hers and stuff again, then we get back into WandaVision 2.0 and so like that. So we want to avoid that at all costs. This entire movie literally could have been a series finale of a What If, like an hour-long What If episode, if they wanted to really play it out. They really could have done this in What If and just been, cool, this is it. I think that with everything that transpired from beginning to end, again, it was more the chase the entire time, which just kind of elongated what was going on. Apparently, this movie's runtime was like upwards of 3 hours before they cut certain things out. So we have no idea what they cut out. We won't know until we get the Blu-ray.
Hopefully they cut Kang out because he could have fit easily into this, and I would have not blinked twice.
Yeah,
but,
I mean,
all right.
I don't know, Deadpool should have been here, but
just to explain the chaos. Chaos magic is all Deadpool.
It just makes everything just kind of stretched out. That we're trying to figure out these things. We get America's origin, roughly just how she came through here, which is very simply explained. So like that, I like that they didn't make it overblown.
It was like a 5-minute thing. It was short, sweet, to the point. I was like, I get it. It's a sympathetic character. She's a girl trying to figure out her place in the world. That's tough.
And it was they did thing, and they made sure they got the character down doing her teen thing. They had her her pin, the LGBTQ pin. Again, I don't know all the acronyms, but they made sure that she was being represented as how she's portrayed in the comics, which I thought was great. Like they're keeping true to a lot of the comic origin. So with this movie going on, again, it could have been shortened with a lot of them in.
It's what got our butts into the seat in the first place.
And here's the thing: it's marketing. So at that, because the bait and switch to flip the plot around again with Defender Strange, Zombie Strange, being an enemy and so at that's not the case. So it's a big bait and switch. So that, and it's marketing. So I got no problem with what they did. I understand how it works. Cool, that's fine. But again, they still gave us that big pop, which was Reed Richards.
Krasinski. Like no one had any idea going in because it looked exactly like the stuff that leaked 2 years ago of like a fan-made drawing of what it was. Like, was that really fan-made, or did Disney leak this just to see how people felt about it?
Cool. They could have had the artist make it and stuff like that and leak it out there and like, it's whatever. But either way, he was a big part. He was the big part that was in there for me as far as cameos. When I saw Captain Carter, it's like, oh, cool. Yeah, I saw her in What If. I'm not as hyped. Like, I'm cool. Don't get me wrong.
Why was she on the Illuminati? The Illuminati is the smartest people in all of Marvel Cinematic Universe. And you're telling me that Captain Carter is one of those people? I understand what they're trying to do, but it was foolishly done, and it was stupid. I cared so little about that. I ranted and raved basically most of the car ride back from the theater that she has no business being on that board whatsoever, let alone in the fight scene lasting as long as she did. You're telling me Boltagar Blackagon stood less time fighting than she did? Okay, let's not get carried away. Know your place. No, that's not how this is established. This is wrong. He's like,
now, keep this in mind. It's about that. As far as characters go, like I'm not surprised with Captain Carter being on the Illuminati. Some fact is, Steve Rogers, Captain America, was on the Illuminati.
He shouldn't have been.
But again, they were created by the smartest people, and other members had joined at other point in time. So
my knowledge, Black Panther is on here. I get why he was
Black Panther
for obvious reason. And like Namor, I know Black Panther left because he didn't agree with what was happening, which he's smart enough to do. But like Namor was here, we could have easily thrown him in as a cameo at some point.
But again, Namor is now fighting Black Panther supposedly in the Wakanda movie. That's the rumor that's going around, but again, we don't know. So again, I'm not mad at them taking their liberties and kind of playing around with stuff. Cool, play around with stuff. Let's figure it out. I'm here for the ride because again, I watched the movie the first time to enjoy it for what it is. After that, I start kind of analyzing, seeing what I missed, and start scrutinizing and see what's going on. That's why I'll always go see the movie 3-4 times before I come and talk about it. And again, I'm still not going to get everything the first 2, 3, 4 go rounds with that. There's still gonna be stuff that I missed and I need to talk about with you guys. So that's why you got comments, please leave them down below. Tell me what's going on. Tell me what I may have missed. I need to know so we can talk about this stuff. Like this is really interesting to me, and we can just have conversations all day. But when the other characters start showing up, again, everybody's reprising their roles and stuff like that. Freaking, with Captain Carter, so with that. We got freaking,
Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart.
Captain Marvel and stuff. Again, if Carol Danvers wasn't piloting stuff like that, then
Am I the only one that liked that Captain Marvel significantly more than Brie Larson's version? I can't be the only one, right?
I do. She was more like, hey, I'm not about the nonsense. Like, I'm finna come in here and handle business.
Which
is
that's the character that makes sense to me. I'm like, this is what I want.
And again, me and Brie Larson, like, we all right. Freaking,
we're not on solid ground now. I've seen better. I know what's out there. I've seen the other side of that fence.
I definitely want her to kind of definitely fold more into that stuff like that, which I think she's like the initial Captain Marvel. But whereas we got to Endgame and stuff like that, she definitely got a little bit further along. But again, she didn't have as much time either. So we'll see. But
killed Patrick Stewart, man.
Everybody was here's the problem that I have with this and so with that. Everybody was dispatched, in which I don't have a problem with everybody being dispatched. Keep that in mind. Scarlet Witch, we actually got a real showcase of Scarlet Witch's power. Like, we got to see Scarlet Witch do what Scarlet Witch does. Like, she doesn't freaking play. But the fact is, you eliminated, Black Bolt that quickly, that easily, which was pretty freaking nice the way she did it. Like, pop. She turned around and got rid of Reed Richards immediately. Like, you saw that neural pop as it, but Captain Carter's still hanging around? Like, she should have been one of the first to go. I'm sorry, she should have been one of the first to go.
Just take the shield away and be done. Like, all right, cool, you're a regular person. I ain't worried about it.
And then, I can see Captain Marvel, last one standing. Yes, makes sense.
Oh, that made sense.
So, and even then, like, and keep in mind, she got crushed. We saw the hand, but here's the thing: is difference with deaths. So that, like, we saw Reed Richards die, we saw Black Bolt die, we saw Captain Carter. So it's like
Patrick Stewart.
We saw that, which I like. It was a mental. It was like a mental break and a physical break all at the same time.
Lost in his own dimension. Like, I'm
so
bad they killed Patrick Stewart.
Yeah. But here's the thing: every character that was killed can be redone in a way, because again, we have multiple universes that are in play. Again, at least 838, and this has been recognized as 616. A lot of the stuff that I've seen, and you've heard me say this before, the MCU per like the reference, like you have the actual comics and stuff like that, and this was like 199999. Now we've got freaking confirmation that this is 616, which is something I was actually talking about with my son, because again, 616 was brought up with Mysterio back when he showed up in Far From Home. So with 616 being showed up, but Mysterio was lying about a whole lot of stuff. So it was kind of a fun Easter egg, but we didn't know if there was any truth to it at all, because he's lying about all the other things, and he's doing the holograms and all this other stuff. So it was like, it's kind of a throwaway line. But when we get here and we get confirmation that Strange, his universe is 616, this is 838. Now we got to go back and reanalyze and look at this and say, okay, how much did Mysterio know? Because again, if I don't see a body like dead, and know for sure that it's dead, I don't believe it. So how much did Mysterio know? How much was done? Or how much did he know? Where did he get that information from? Was he making it up off the top of his head? Freaking, was it something that needs to be retconned later because, it's a plot hole? Whatever, I don't know. But the fact that he mentioned 616 within this, movie, and then we get 616 confirmation later on, now I got questions. Now I need to know what's going on and how much did he actually know, or did someone tell him something that, like, hey, make up this story, use this as your story, and kind of go from there. You see where I'm going?
The thing that is super interesting about that is the fact that he was working with the Skrulls that were impersonating Fury and all of this good stuff. So him knowing that 616, he would have told the Skrulls, who would have told Fury. So Fury knows that there's an infinite number of universes out there. So everyone should be privy to this knowledge that Fury trusts, which, the list is very, very short. But you still have some level of information out there, like Brie Larson's Captain Marvel should probably be privy to this kind of information. Like, hey, there's another universe where you're out there doing God knows what. You may show up someday, you have to fight yourself. I don't know. It's like, this whole movie, I came in with such high expectations. And I don't know if that's my fault or if I just couldn't get past the shallowness of this plot. This is paper razor thin. And the more you stare at it, the more it's gonna bother you. You just don't want to look at it. Look at the visual effects. Look at the great acting job. Look how Marvel has once again produced a movie that's going to make a crap ton of money. But this is one of those ones where I'm just going to look at it and be like, this will be added to the video collection here. But is it going to get a lot of rewatches unless it has huge implications, other stuff? Probably not. It's like, I felt better about a lot of miniseries than I did about this movie.
I mean, I was hyped for it going in. I'm always hyped for a Marvel movie. Don't get me wrong. I'm always hyped for a Marvel movie. I go in with decent expectations. Like, I expect you to deliver a good cinematic movie, which they delivered upon. Story, I'm always like, I know the comics. What are they gonna put together? How are they gonna take from the comics and bring it in and add it to everything else? So I kind of go in with a grain of salt, wondering like, okay, what characters are they going to bring in? You know, how are they going to play this out? Are we going to, have to go back and read some stuff for people to understand something, or do they make everything clear? Marvel always wants you to do a little bit of research on your own. Again, like with the ending credits cameo. So it's like they give you a little bit of research to go look into. But other than that, I felt like they definitely dropped the ball. And there was something I was waiting for at the end. I wanted to see if it was going to happen. It didn't happen. When everything happened with Scarlet Witch and she took over the other Wanda. So Scarlet Witch took over Wanda. Let's just put it this way. And all this stuff went down. And when America is like, hey, give you what you want. So with that, honestly, I don't like the whole I feel bad about this redemption thing. I'm going to sacrifice myself. That aggravated the hell out of me. Like it was not.
It was foolishness.
It was worth like what
you could have just destroyed the book without destroying the temple and been fine. You could have literally done some kind of magic to make it never reappear anywhere else, because I'm sure that kind of magic exists. Don't tell me it doesn't if you're able to wipe the memory of all mankind for Spider-Man, which we're just saying now, Doctor Strange is the new Iron Man of this universe. He's mentoring all the kids. He's getting all the glory. He's in every movie. I'm not unhappy about that, though. Benedict Cumberbatch is a fantastic actor. He sold this role for me. But if you're going to use magic, do so in a way that makes freaking sense. And right now, they haven't delivered that to me. And I'm just like, look, I hold Marvel to the same standard I hold every other company that I absolutely love and adore. You see the shelf, you know I love what they do. I just don't want it to be something that I'm just loving blindly, though. You got to look at every angle, every obstacle, and what's going on. And the fact that they have the licenses, rights, and everything finally secured to what they're doing, for them to show as minimally as they did in this one, like Civil War, I got. You didn't have the rights to a lot of the stuff that you wanted to do. You couldn't have done it. You couldn't have done it the right way. This one, you have the rights and stuff. However, what is their big picture play? That's something we'll have to sit down and address and discuss, because there are a lot of pieces that you and I can place as fans. Makes you wonder what Kevin Feige is doing, because that man has done a phenomenal job with the universe. I trust what he can build with Disney. This movie for me was like a C- at best. The visual effects, though, fantastic. Danny Elfman's score was great. Highlight for me was easily the musical fight that Strange had with himself. I thought that was very, very cool and very well done.
That was creative. So I definitely think that with the movie and how everything played out, again, I trust in Feige's end game, pun intended. I trust in him setting up whatever he's trying to have set up, and for this to take off in the direction he needs to. With the MCU, there's going to be bad movies. There's going to be good movies. There's going to be middle of the line movies. I definitely put this as middle of the line because it did well for some aspects of a simple character introduction. Didn't have to beat around the bush about it. It was great visuals, great characters, but again, story, fell flat in some places. And again, it seems like a lot of it was reused. Like a lot of stuff, I could literally see scenes from What If kind of just being redone in live action, and just kind of like, okay, this is fine. We saw, Gargantos, we saw Captain Carter, we saw the Scarlet Witch walk, freaking with like the zombie mode. We saw zombie, characters, like all this. It's kind of like you watch What If, and like you took, half of that at minimum and threw it in here to make the movie. I really think that we should have got a Scarlet Witch versus Wanda fight at the end, because again, I don't like the redemption arc. Like I really think that
you want good to actually triumph over evil, as opposed to you just be like, I messed up, I'm gonna kill myself, and therefore I fix everything.
You took me away from my babies, because that's what Wanda said. She's like, my kids. She went to go find her kids ASAP. Once, because she knew that she was trapped in there, and Xavier was trying to get her out, and she was stuck. But again, like Mama Bear mode, she kicked in, and when hey, this other version of me is at my house. Now I gotta fight this out. And then I could have go for like Wanda defeated, Scarlet Witch to a degree or whatever, and so with that. And then she was like, I can't do whatever, I can't have anything. Then I'll just bring this whole thing down around us and stuff like that. And America gets a portal open, gets Wanda back to her kids, or whatever. And then, Scarlet Witch crushes this on herself, and then that's it. She's done. That could have worked for me. Something to that effect. Again, I'm not the best writer. There's people that get paid to do this stuff, but again, this is just my opinion and stuff that I look at. I think this could have been done a couple different ways. And going forward, I think that they really have to kind of break down what the characters are, because Scarlet Witch was known as what was a Nexus being. She was the only one of her kind, and there was no one else.
But now, constant for every single universe, unchanging, unwavering, just the same.
Yeah, but now America is a Nexus being by all technicality, and there was at least two Wandas. Again, she crushed herself. We saw a little red burst come out, so that's supposed to be she's dead, I assume. But it's the comics. Freaking never assume anything that people can't come back. But either way, it was done. So it was like, all right, well, this is what we got to work with. This is what's been done. Now we've got this character who has now been, I won't say introduced. She's recognized that there's a Spider-Man, which just kind of sets up for the Young Avengers. So if they do it without Miles, or the champions, whatever.
If they do it without Miles, they've done it wrong. Miles is probably right now the most clamored for character that has not appeared on screen in the cinematic universe. I'm fine with he's in the Spider-Verse, but we need a live action Miles.
But here's what we can do. So with that, like, you can give me Spider-Man meeting up with, Miss America, because she's heard about Spider-Man, so like that. You could have, that kind of thing, because since she can travel multiverses, she can find another version. She can find a Miles, however they want to do it. It's possible to play all this stuff out. But also, you got to remember, Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man. So if MCU wants to use it, they have to consult this with Sony and make sure they have an understanding. Otherwise, Miles can just appear in Sony's version and not show up at all here. The fact that we've got Venom, a piece of Venom in the MCU, and Tom Holland Spider-Man in MCU, that may be all we get, and Miles may take place elsewhere. You got to remember, they're also doing the Spider-Verse movies, so that they may not want to bring a live action Miles into the Spider-Verse movies, or into the movies, until Spider-Verse concludes. And at the end of that, you could literally have, because they're jumping worlds, at the end of that, you could literally, because you saw as they travel through the universes, because America's been through 73 universes, right? As they travel through an animation universe. Don't be surprised if we can get to the point where at the end of the, Spider-Verse movies, Miles can make the transition to the live action from there and be present. Like there's ways that they can do this. Like there's a ton of possibilities.
It is a slippery slope, though, because it minimizes the impact of every death that can happen. It's like, yeah, we got a replaceable character, blah 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 universe.
So I think as long as they do it with alternates more so than replacements are better with that. Like if we see Superior Iron Man, would I be mad about Superior Iron Man? Not necessarily, but I would only like it if it was a cameo. I don't want a standing Superior Iron Man. Iron Man did his job. He's done in the MCU. Let's move on to something else. So for cameo purposes, yes, I'm cool with, but as far as going forward, unless it's a change of character, i.e., Peter Parker is not the same as Miles, that is a different and new character. Different powers and abilities are present. You can run both at the same time, and I'm good with that. But if you have Captain Marvel and the other Captain Marvel running, that doesn't really work for me because they're both technically the same Captain Marvel. But if you have Captain Marvel and you have Spectrum and then you have Miss Marvel, these are three separate characters. Don't get me wrong, Captain Marvel freaking with Rambeau and Captain Marvel with Danvers are two different characters. Don't get me wrong, but because they were flip-flop, they're pretty much the exact same. They're just alternate characters, copies. There's nothing much that's different about the characters. Versus Spectrum is a fundamentally different character. Miss Marvel is a different character. Captain Marvel is a different character. So they're different from each other, so they can run together. Does that make sense? So this allows you to kind of play around with different characters' abilities and kind of have fun with it versus,
which again just leads to they need to be careful with how they do this.
Very careful.
The casual fan will get lost. People like you will understand.
Yes.
But you have to do it correctly. We've seen DC try and fail several times at trying to get people to understand every little bit of their lore. It doesn't translate well to the screen. People like things spelled out for them, black and white. Just like we need to spell out our score before we get this video going any longer for this film. We'll have other videos following this one to break down other aspects of what this impacts. But I feel like we're basically running out of time on this particular one.
Yeah, I'm definitely now. Let's say so. We'll get scores for that. Just know there's future stuff to come. Again, I'm gonna talk about Baxter Building and everything that can mean. I'm gonna talk about those end credits scenes. I'm not gonna spoil it. You need to go watch it and find out who showed up in the end credits because that character is very important going forward. And I'm gonna break all this stuff down as much as possible. So stay tuned for that. All right, freaking. So as for a score, what do you think you give it on a scale of 1 to 10?
I got like a 7-2.
For me, for this, I would probably have to give it a solid 7. And the only reason I give it this is because I think that the drop in the story aspects is balanced out by the cinematics and the character development that was done.
Yeah, I think there is a very fine line with that too. It's also like where most of I feel a lot of our video games nowadays have lost substance because they look pretty. We think they're better than what they are. But again, whole different subject, whole other time.
Just ask Marvel Avengers.
If you guys haven't already clicked that watermark, we're going to send you another dimension to hit that subscribe button. We need you guys' support on our march to 100 members. Check out all the other stuff that we have. You have anything else to say today, Will?
That's it. We're going to get into this, and we're just waiting for Thor Love and Thunder, so get ready.
Check out all the other amazing content we got. Thank you for your time, guys. I'm Brent. Our leader, Will, has led us fiercely once again. Goodbye.